Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our webinar, How to Stay on Top of Your Agency Assets. I am Andy Sterling. I'm joined today with my colleagues, Dan Linder and Dave King. Dan runs sales, marketing, and client relations for our technology platform, Real Insight. And Dave runs our diligence and valuation team. And he covers both the agency and non-agency credits. First off, I just want to thank everybody for their business and entrusting us with your investments. We know there are choices out there, and we hope that our experience, our communication, and technology, that we offer continues to help strengthen those relationships. A part of what we do, is getting out and seeing all of you. And I know personally, we miss that a lot. And hopefully the new normal will, we'll continue to be able to actually see people. So there's a few investors on this call who are not current clients of ours. So those on the call who don't currently work with us, we invite you to join us. We would be more than happy to discuss our processes and ways we might work together. The Freddie business is a very important business for CW. Our business model is organized around the total life cycle of the investment. It could be a new issue or secondary purchase. We're here to support you. We all know the new issue market has slowed down a little bit. It's just sort of kind of creep open. We have a pandemic modified plan to help people diligence deals in the current market. We're actually started one just recently. And as everybody knows, we've been very busy in the secondary market, and we support a lot of clients helping them buy assets in a relatively short time period. We're here to help you on that as well. CW is the largest non-bank Freddie special servicer. As of year end, and I think at the end of even this quarter, the NBA league tables had us ranked overall on number 2. And we're very proud of that. As we couple that with our technology and diligence services, we think we really offer an extraordinary value proposition. In our markets dominated by the larger banking institutions. We understand our clients have relationships with the big banks. We get that. It just makes us work harder. We think there's ways for us to work together, whether it's having us named special servicer, use us as diligence, using us for marketplace. There's a number of ways that we can work together. So I just don't want you to think of us as a special servicer. There's a lot of ways we can work together, and we understand and we're sensitive. We understand your lending relationships. But in other ways, we think that's probably a benefit for us too, and I'll get to that in a minute. So currently, we're named special servicer for Freddie on over 110 deals. That's a UPB of approximately $100 billion. And we've been servicing Freddie deals since the FSK program. Our client base is very diverse, and our book encompasses just about every Freddie product. The classic 10-year K deal, we do tax exempt, we've done seniors, small balance, green, kick out, supplemental, you name it, we've seen it. I think I may have stolen a tagline there, but I'm going to go with it anyhow. So how did we get here? CW has been around a long time. I mean, CW has been around since the 70s as an agency lender based out of Boston. And although Dan and I are located, in New York City, which is close to a lot of our clients, Dave is located in Bethesda, where our headquarters are. And in Bethesda, Maryland, that's just a stone throw away from our friends at Freddie. So it's not really uncommon for a former CW employee to be working at Freddie, and in turn, a Freddie employee, to now be working at CW. So it goes without saying that we have a very strong relationship with Freddie Mac. And in turn, Freddie has a lot to expect from us. So our team is very experienced. We have asset-specific specialization. Our model utilizes a dedicated team of in-house underwriters supporting our diligence efforts. So we think that's really important because it develops a consistent product and exceptional client experience, and we monitor your assets and report on them real time. And we hear that somebody says that's timely and helpful. Well, that's what we want to hear, and that's what we endure to do. So I think it's fair to say that really we have no two client processes that are alike, and we have no issue with that. So consistency, working with the same team over and over, we think that helps strengthen what we're doing with clients deal after deal. We're also independent and unaffiliated to any of the lending platforms, BP buyers, or master primary services. We think this allows us to be nimble, entrepreneurial, and most importantly, protect our clients from conflicts. Freddie business I mentioned earlier is based on communication. We have a great working relationship with Freddie. We also need to have great communication with our clients. Before I joined CW 5 years ago, I had spent 15 years on the sell side, another 15 years on the buy side. So I'm all too familiar with the stigma, servicers had, with not being responsive to client needs. I can assure you that if you have an issue, regardless of its complexity, myself, Dan, and Dave, we're here and available so a call or email doesn't go into an operational black hole. We want you to use this as a resource. We have lots of information. We have access to information. We can help you model things. We have modeling capabilities. We have our RIA. We have lots of ways we can be helpful to what you're doing. We're here to make sure the experience between the investor and servicer is a productive one. At CW, we continue to be staffed by not only servicing professionals, but also investment professionals. So we understand the goals of the client. We want not to be limited by just the asset management issue that may or may not develop. Call us when you have a question. We're here for you anytime. And that really brings us to our technology. Our team has been through many cycles, maybe not a pandemic, but certainly market disruptions, and it is why we are a proactive company. We lead with our technology. Freddie expects a lot from us, and we leverage that tech real time. So we're not just talking when there is an event happening. I mentioned we have a diverse client base of special servicer clients, but we also have a very diverse client base of real insight clients. So I'll let Dan and Dave get into the weeds on our technology and how we're supporting clients during the pandemic. But CW has dedicated itself to be a technology-led firm. And really, I can't think of a better time to be proactive than now. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dan and Dave, and then we can leave time for some questions and answers after that.
No, I appreciate that, Andy. Thanks for the intro. And everybody on the call, we've always been talking about Real Insight. Everyone who's seen it, everyone who's heard about it, this has been a conversation that's been going on for a while, and we assure you it's a real thing. We're going to show it to you today if you haven't seen it. What Real Insight is, in its essence, it's a web-based, cloud-based technology used for asset management, surveillance, and special servicing. It is used across CW's entire company for all of these functions. And as Andy was mentioning, Real Insight has always been a huge part of our Freddie investment surveillance process. But in times like these, in a pandemic, we are ramping up even more so with our technology. We are adding new functions, procedures, customizations to do the best possible job to communicate the best way we can, real time. And that's the key, real time with our clients. When we say real time, we talk about not just the calls we're doing, the insight we're providing through CW, but it's the data accuracy and the timeliness of the data through 3 different ways that you are seeing as you look at Real Insight, the information. It's through a live data feed of Intex, populating on a monthly and daily, depending on daily updates coming from Intex on a regular basis, as well as our data team QCing, going through the information and making sure that nothing gets lost, that nothing gets missed. And if something is missed, we will fix it and provide you an update. The other 2 ways, and this is really key, is CWCapital is using Real Insight. So the updates that the asset managers, that the underwriters, that the group and special servicing are updating within the system, our clients, you have the opportunity to see those updates. And what I mean by that, and this is really important, this is something that we've spoken about and we continue to want to work more with everybody on, is if you name CWCapital, you get access to Real Insight, and we will work through a process with you to train you and get you that real-time information as quickly as possible. With that, I do want to jump right into the Real Insight demo so you can quickly see that. And then we'll start to talk about, and this is where I'll kick it to Dave King, the opportunity of what do the reports look like? What are we doing specifically to analyze and to customize to exactly what is going on currently in the market? So for example, if you're looking at Real Insight, two things that we like to think about across from a theme throughout the platform is what are the things that I care about and what are the things that I need to focus on and handle and get actionable information or take action right now. So it's managing by exception, which is extremely important. This is important across all asset classes, all debt classes, something that we really at Real Insight do across every asset class, but today we're talking about Freddie. So for example, and this is something new, is we have this forbearance tracker and update area where you have in this kind of Freddie canned, for this presentation environment, the ability to see here are all, for example, you can see the specific loans that are being tracked where there are forbearance requests. Or for example, here are the specific deals, the K deals that it was said, okay, within each of these, here are 4 requests. And then you have the ability to drill down and see that information and take action. Okay. As we look through these dashboards and kind of continue with that theme of what are some things that are important and that we care about, you also then have the ability, and here is a point that we like to make when we talk about Real Insight, is any data point you care about, anything that is important to you on a day-to-day basis, you have the ability through our data input and updating to view any type of stratification. So for example, what you're looking at right here is, here's a stratification of loans in special servicing. You see one, right? Loans that in this trial canned, environment that we're demoing today, 1,367 that are overall being surveilled, and then 200 that the CREF CIRP is basically stating these are 200 that are on the watch list. Now, what's nice is if you want to take a closer look and report and then provide those reports, all you have to do is get that list and then export it right into Excel. That'll just take a second because essentially what it's doing is providing you all the information. So what's nice is everybody on the phone is probably very interested or very used to, I should say, in using Excel. So what's happening here is we're giving you the opportunity to export everything into Excel. And something we'll talk about with Dave later is some of the reporting we're doing is actually based off of some of the templates that you guys are all used to. We're inputting that into Real Insight and allowing you to then generate those at push button, which is very helpful. So you can see a report like this. It's nice to be able to export that. So again, just theme is any data point you care about. Here's kind of a stratification of occupancy across the portfolio. And then something that always comes up, and we always talk about it, is what's my stratification of student housing? What's my stratification by state of senior housing? So you then have the ability to get this granular and be specific and say within Arizona, here are the 12 that are senior housing. Again, this is all customizable, but what I'm trying to show here and what we are showing here is CWCapital is using these functions, this analysis, this data set, this real-time information to provide value to all of our clients. Okay, so just wanted to kind of show that a little bit. And then another area before we kind of move on to some kind of interesting things like geographical and FEMA exposure is when I log into Real Insight, when CW logs in, when our clients log in, you have the ability based off of what you care about to get real-time alerts and ticklers to let you know, hey, this is something to take action on, to review. For example, we just created a couple alerts to show here are some loans where there were forbearance requests. They're on a watch, they've been moved to a watch list, right? And this is something that can go to your email that you view when you log into Real Insight. And this is something we like to provide to our clients. We think it shows a real value. And this alert system could be anything. Did the debt service drop? Is there some other workflow that we need to take care of, such as consents or anything that is important to your process? So, again, we're just showing the Real Insight, a lot of power, but it also has this great workflow in terms of managing your day-to-day, especially as there are so many more loans that are worth watching right now. I mean, this is something that, with all the forbearance requests, that CWCapital is using on a regular basis and are finding a lot of value in it. Something else I want to show is just a quick report that comes out of Real Insight. For an example, like in ASR. So if I were to jump in really quickly to over here where it shows the internal watch list. Now, the internal watch list is CWCapital's customized watch list, or the watch list that you, the investor, cares about, because you may not agree or may not feel like every single thing that is listed on a watch list you really want to take care of. Maybe you don't care about, repairs or tax issues. Maybe you care more about something like this. For example, property was damaged by hurricane. So you have that ability to dig into that information. Because it's a customized watch list, we're only tracking what the special servicer is tracking that you care about or that we care about. A little bit more about the Hurricane Harvey thing, and I think this is a good segue into our geographical exposure reporting, is every single loan and property that goes into Real Insight is geocoded, so that when something of note comes up, like a hurricane, an earthquake, a flooding, you have the ability to quickly run a report in Real Insight and understand your exposure at that given time. So for example, keying on Hurricane Harvey, if I were to say, I want to see everything, every property where Houston is part of the portfolio, we quickly show you, and you run these yourselves, here is my exposure to Houston. Right? Now, why this is interesting, everyone knows this. Not only is it interesting and helpful from we talked about, if Hurricane Harvey, what's my exposure, but also macroeconomically, you may want to quickly understand based off of, oil prices falling. Where are the properties that I really need to take note of and then start doing some reporting? And if you even wanted to layer in comps, you have the ability to do that for great benchmarking. And then Real Insight has a direct API feed to FEMA, and it's live. I'm going to just choose one from 2017 because I think it's an interesting one. But essentially, as you are aware of things or as you want to track things, FEMA will direct that feed. We'll click hurricane. We'll search. We want to make this current to Houston because that's what we're looking at. And you can see that we're going to select Hurricane Harvey, click Add to Map. And now we're showing you, based off of your portfolio or the portfolio that we have that's within the system, right? You can see where the exposure is. FEMA mapped out this area being what the disaster area is, and then you can kind of see where where you have the majority of your properties. And again, this is something you could do across the entire country, right? Even COVID reporting as it relates to biodisasters. Not to jump into that too much. The last thing I want to show is then the ability to be very, very thoughtful when you want to find something very quickly. So for example, I'm just gonna go back and then run a report off of it. If I wanted to search for the woods at Ridgeway, and again, this is making your data actionable. The more deals you have, the more you really want to dig into the information. And this is what CW is doing as the portfolio grows and as we work with more clients, as we service more clients. This is a great way for us to also, make us as efficient as possible. So for example, if I jump into that specific loan, I have the ability, and this is across the entire platform, to do a financial benchmarking analysis. And what that is as the information is being updated from Intex, we have this kind of summary level information where our diligence team or you or anyone could log in and say, at underwriting, how is this performing all the way to now? And you could view that trend both at net operating income and net cash flow. The last thing I just want to show before I kick it to Dave is because we saw that there is a downward trend, maybe we want to run a report, run a ASR to view the analysis based off of the information that's all throughout this on the loan side. So all we're going to do, and this is push button where normally this could take a long time in Excel, is generate this ASR. And just like that, you have this Excel-based model that just ran. And this is something that, CW is doing on a regular basis, right? And Dave, I actually think this is a good place to highlight you before we move to the larger report. Do you want to just quickly mention something about the ASR? Because I think this is pretty powerful when you want to run analysis like this.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the technology is absolutely imperative to us on the servicing side. So for those that have quarterly books that they need to make, that usually involve several weeks of preparation for internal credit committees, investor reporting purposes. This automation really speeds up that whole process tremendously.
Perfect. I'm just going to move now to that other one. And if you want to, Dave, start talking about just the reports that we've been creating kind of at the portfolio level for, for example, I'm just going to pull that up. Yeah. And that we've been running and all of this is at a Real Insight.
So, technology is absolutely imperative to our underwriting and surveillance process at CW. As Andy mentioned, we have over 110 agency pools with a balance well in excess of 100 billion. And quite frankly, I'm not sure how other servicers are running surveillance on their books without the use of robust technology solutions like Real Insight. For those of you that have been working with us, you have seen our twice weekly COVID updates to your portfolio. What you're seeing on your screen are reports that are being 100% generated out of Real Insight and are being updated on a daily basis. So what we're doing is we're monitoring the CRT system over at Freddie Mac and alerting our clients to changes in their portfolio real time, as opposed to having to wait for the 6A watch list designation to come out at remit. So you're able to see this real time as opposed to having to wait for remit. What we were able to do is create this customized report utilizing our Intex data feeds that provide a snapshot of performance against underwriting, IO expiration, current debt yield, any other relevant loan metrics that we threw in here for every asset in your portfolio. And what we did was then go additionally layer in, the forbearance program designation, and we were allowed to. And what we did is just kind of give you the snapshot of what has entered into forbearance, along with a general read of the performance of the asset. Additionally, so we started off this demo. So in addition to our reports that you're getting on a twice weekly basis, you can also log in and see that real time. And again, it's updated daily. Kind of another issue I want to touch on is the fact that the impact from the pandemic are far reaching and have touched nearly every industry and market in the economy. Utilizing Real Insight, we're able to customize our reporting packages and really focus on assets that could face continued hardship. So an example of that might be looking at assets that currently have zip codes that have medium household incomes that are less than $50,000, which unfortunately are getting particularly hard hit in this crisis. Looking at their performance and looking at which assets might be able to absorb continued distress versus those assets that we might need to get in front of. Another thing that we're looking at and reporting on is monitoring vacancy and collection upticks throughout the portfolio, so we can get a look into how collections look across the country. Again, all of this is made possible by the very powerful reporting out of Real Insight. All of this kind of relates back to what Andy was saying, is that CW's goal is really to maximize transparency while utilizing Real Insights gives you kind of a portal into our real-time data and thought process. We're also people. And we like connecting with our clients at least on a monthly basis, offering monthly status calls, organizing Q&A log with the master servicers and primaries, and really doing anything that we can to monitor your investments in real time, which is a nice kind of segue into underwriting. We are open for business. We have developed several kind of contingency plans utilizing our vast network of brokers, property managers, and local assets. We are confident that we can execute on a diligence product that meets all internal mandates of site inspection, of desktop review, so on and so forth. CW's credit team has underwritten about $90 billion in both the new issue and secondary space since 2015, and utilizing the power of Real Insight really helps aid our overall credit analysis. So with all that said, we know that your time is very valuable. I'd like to kick it back to Andy or Dan and open it up for questions.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, I think you're right. I think we are people. I don't know if everybody on this call will agree with that, but I hope so. Well, let's open it up for questions. If anybody has any questions for either of us, because now's the time. Okay, well, I guess if there's no questions,
we said it all.
Yeah, we said it all. We covered it all. It's crystal clear. Look, we're happy to have conversations one-on-one. Give us a call. We're happy to go over Real Insight in depth. Our current diligence process that we're undertaking under this environment, or anything else. We really appreciate everybody taking their lunch break, and it's great meeting some people here for the first time. That's fantastic. So with that, I just want to say have a great weekend, everybody, and stay safe. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.